Reimann, yep.
So we got Tristan Reimann with, forgive me,
I'm with Perch Realty.
Perch Realty,
Yeah,
a
no,
real estate agent
A lot
here
of
in
people
Austin.
don't know about us. That's why we're here.
Anything we need to know about Perch?
So it actually started as a locating company, so apartment locating.
Right on.
And so now we're one of the only brokerage, to my knowledge, that's doing apartment locating and real estate because we have 2 brokers. So
I
we
know
can
one
do...
other.
Which one?
Pauly Presley Realty.
Okay, cool.
They do it. Yeah, a little boutique shop owned by Brad Pauly, buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Like some of the agents there, they got a super cool office in like the cool part of town on East 5th.
Very cool. Yeah, I think it's more of a boutique kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
people are doing the apartment locating because it's very Austin-centric. Like I haven't found it in a lot of other markets.
Well, it's a great way to generate future business.
Yeah, I
That's
absolutely love
what
it.
I like about it.
Yeah, when people reach out to me with other brokerages and they're like, "Do you want to? Are you ever considering?" I'm like, "No, I just love what we do. Like I love getting to start at apartments and then go into homes." So
Well, it's an organic way to kind of create a relationship, and then it makes for that process of buying the home a little more seamless when they already know you.
yeah, already
know,
worked with you on a lesser.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that kind of brings me into a segue about what we were talking about in regards to relationships and those experiences with clients, because before we got on here, you had made mention of a short story about how you had a client that was in the process of buying a home and was requesting that you reach out to the lender to ask specific questions. And long story short, this lender ended up getting kind of frustrated, and that's basically the story you told.
Yeah.
And what resonated with me about it is that as a lender, and this is how the story came up, like obviously we have a lot of times when clients, they want multiple, kind of breakdowns on what's this going to cost me? What's this interest rate going to be? What's this all going to look like? And you were like, how long does that take? Right. And the short answer is it doesn't take a ton of time. The problem that we run into is the first one is I have identified like my entire career, but the second one is the one that I really want to talk about. So the first one is, no, it's not super time consuming, but the problem that we run into is that interest rates change 4 times a day, and clients are never disappointed when we give them an estimate that ends up being lower than the original one that we give them.
Of course, yeah.
But if we're sending out multiple estimates with different properties, taxes, everything along those lines, if we send them out and they end up getting under contract and things aren't what they originally thought, it's an immediate, like, big time black mark. And that experience is already like we are backpedaling big time. And then what's even kind of crazier is I've had situations where I've put together scenarios, and let's just say like a month goes by and pricing gets better, rates go down. And then they end up talking to someone else who's like, yeah, I talked to this bank and they're going to get me this. The average client doesn't think like, oh, maybe I should reach back out to the person I initially spoke to who offered me, just using round numbers, a 6.5%, and check and see if 6% is available for them. They typically will just, so you could actually hurt yourself.
Because they're just thinking,
this is what they
guy's
offer.
offering so much better.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that's always been a problem.
Yeah.
So I always want to be mindful of like firing out, estimates on properties that are, not under contract yet. But the part that really resonated with me was how the buyer was asking you to call the lender. And I've been doing this so damn long, I'm almost embarrassed that I hadn't been able to identify this until a couple months ago. I have real estate agents that I work with as referral partners that want nothing to do with the lending side of things. If their client is like, what are interest rates? What are closing costs? Like, what is this going to look like? They're like, I have a lender. You got to talk to him. He's fantastic. But then I have other real estate agents that really want to, I don't know if it's because they want to be involved, or sometimes they swear like, I want to get this guy or girl over to you, but they don't want to talk to a lender yet. So can you put all of this stuff together for me, and I'm going to like relay it back? And then the reason that this like blew me away was because I had another real estate agent on the podcast similar to this, and he said, yeah, I've got this preferred lender that I absolutely love, and when the clients go with them, they have a great experience. But for some reason, like all of my clients, they start off with that lender, and then they end up going with another lender.
Interesting.
Because they're less expensive. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, cost is a thing, right? But this business is pretty regulated on my end. So like our spreads aren't like, it's not like one person's offering like a 10% and the other one's offering a 2%. And this person's got $5,000 in closing costs and this one's got 50. Like, if you're really putting a side-by-side comparison, it really, it's apples to apples, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, how is this? How does that happen? And I'm trying to put myself in random lenders' shoes, right? I'm like, well, that never happens to me. But then I've had a couple referral partners lately where that has started happening to me, and now I'm the guy. And at first I was like, it's the business in terms of the time of the market, rates are high, like, people are shopping.
Yeah.
But then what I identified was the agents that want to keep me away from the buyer, either because they want to be the one kind of doing what you were doing, or the buyer who is requesting that you make that phone call and they're not making the phone call themselves. So now we're giving the buyer all the information they want, all of the knowledge they want, hell, even giving them a pre-approval if they fill out an online application, and then they get under contract, and I finally get to talk to this person that I've worked for, arguably for like days, weeks, definitely have hours in on this. And they're like, hey, Tristan, Matt Kirschling, thanks for doing all that work. Nice to finally get to talk to you. What's your rate and what's your closing costs? No relationship, no conversation. And let's face it, like, no trust factor. I'm the boogeyman at this point. You better come at me with the lowest cost and lowest rate because I'm shopping 5 other lenders right now. I see zero value in what you do because in his or her mind, you, as the real estate agent, really did all the work, right? I didn't do anything. And I'm like, this is how this happens. And then good agents, they're like, I don't know how it happened. And not only do they say that, they're disappointed, not because they like their lender, but because now they're working with some online lender that you can't even talk to in another state who, like, if he drops the ball, like, his reputation is definitely not on the line. He's not local, and he doesn't know you or give a shit about you.
Yeah.
So thoughts on that from the real estate side?
It's interesting. I like to hear it from your perspective because obviously, even from the real estate side, I think there's all these situations where we receive information from a client and they're like, could you send us all the apartments south of this road? And a lot of times it's like, is it that much work? I don't know. It feels like a lot of work, but if nothing else, it is our work. So everything I do for work, I want to get compensated for in some way. But so hearing that there is work entailed, whether it's not, I think we all like a little bit of loyalty in a service industry where there's not.
That's the buzzword.
Yeah.
It's loyalty.
As soon as you get that loyalty, I think from my clients and now hearing it from your perspective, it's like, I want to work for them. I want to see it come to a close. I want to see what programs they can work with them. So I love that. And I think another thing that you pointed out that I kind of recognize too is like that human interaction is so important to me. Like I just connected with you the other day about a client that I'm going to connect you with. And I was like, can you just call them? Like they're not in the phase, I just leased them.
Right.
So they're not in the phase where they're going to do an application for similar reasons that you just mentioned, like their rates could change and all that stuff. They're not buying for at least 6 months. But I want them to start getting a relationship. I want them to start having somebody else, because they texted me right away and they're like, what are the rates right now? And I am one of those agents that's not, I'm like, I just stay out of it. I don't want them to come to me for that information. I'm aware of it. I stay in the know, but I don't want to be the guy that they think knows, right? I want them to go to you. So that's kind of what I think I'm going to keep seeking is the relationship. Like who's going to talk to my clients? Who's not afraid to pick up the phone? Online is great. There's a lot of resources online, but I do think it creates this idea that the work that you do is easy because there's an app that, you can go onto an app and type in all the numbers and it's going to give you numbers and you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is pre-approval, in the eyes of the consumer. Yeah. So when it is a person doing the work, they're thinking, oh, he just plugged it into his app. At least I was thinking that,
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, that can be done. The problem is it's like, I definitely always want to, people hear what they want to hear, right? And they forget the things that they don't. And so it's like, hey, this is just an estimate. Here's where it is. I mean, we had a client just a couple weeks ago that was upset that we put in $125 a month as an estimation for insurance. And the insurance company that she chose because
was higher.
Yeah. And like, why did we not know that her insurance was going to be 150 and we put 125? Like these are things, and like, it all seems very logical. Well, that woman's crazy. Well, I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of crazy people out there. A lot of crazy people. So yeah, I just because the way that I was thinking about it, the other day was, can you imagine if I was like, all right, Tristan, so I've got this buyer that I really want to introduce you to, but they're not really ready to talk to a real estate agent yet. So we've got them totally approved and everything along those lines. Can you give me just a little bit of information on 123 Main Street? Like, do you know anything about that property? Like, is there any, what do you think we could get it for if we were to write an offer? And just that property and this other property too. I'm gonna go ahead and just like get this stuff back. Like, you can see where I'm going with this.
100%.
You would be like, what are you talking about? Like, let me contact these people.
It's so true. As you were even saying it, I'm thinking the first thing I would say is like, yeah, I'd love to connect with them. Like, it's like my It's like my coined answer.
And I'm like, no. You don't. Yeah. They're not ready to talk to an agent yet. But like, can you get me comparable sales on this property? And like, we're gonna go ahead and figure out like what we feel like they might make an offer on, and then when they're ready to make an offer, they'll go ahead and they'll reach out to you. And you're like, this is not how we do things. Yeah. And then finally, after you run comparable sales on like 9 homes for me, with these, what do we call them? Like mystical buyers, these like buyers that you've never even talked to. They could be imaginary for all you know. They call you up and they're like, hey, we just heard about this. Nice to meet you, by the way. Now that we know that we want to make an offer on this property, looks like asking price is like $500,000. We'd like to come in at $425,000. Let's just see what happens. Let's just write it. And we've heard a lot about this NAR lawsuit. We want to go ahead and pay you a 1% buyer commission. Yeah.
No.
How is that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But then,
it's just you're comparing prices.
Right. But then you're like, I'm sorry, but this isn't how we do things. And like, I've put together a lot of paperwork that I've given to Matt for the 9 houses that you've looked at and comparable sales and everything like that. And like, I can't work for that. And then they call me back and they're like, that guy Tristan was such a jerk.
Yeah, he won't do it for that price. Yeah. I know. It's our industry,
Right?
It's so cool.
So yeah, I mean that's
we're so lucky.
I know. But here's the bright side. Yeah. And I'd love to lead with this because my whole thing that I do on this podcast is to kind of chat about real estate, entrepreneurial, ism, because I've identified, and I'm sure you have 2 years ago, like we're all self-employed business owners, whether you're a lender, a real estate agent, CPA, financial advisor. And so I always try to talk about like sales tactics and always try to tie it into real estate. But the one thing we were harping on is building that trust, right? And the importance of it. And I think that sometimes we as salespeople forget about it, but I think who really forgets about it are our clients, right? Like the comment that I was like, oh my gosh, I should have thought about saying that Ina brought up, and I think we sometimes hear this more than we'd like to admit, where it's just business, right? Yeah, it's just business, and it's just business until it's not. And I sometimes think clients forget about how it is business. There's no doubt about it, but you definitely want to trust the person that you're working with. Oh yeah, and I think that working with people that you like, also, there's value in that. Yeah,
100%. I don't think anybody really gets into this industry or these industries without having a passion for people. Yeah. It's not like, oh, I love numbers and I love lending. It's more like, obviously you have a talent in those, or maybe you're really good with numbers and things like that. But, for me personally, I got into real estate because I like people. I like connecting with people and understanding, if we're a good fit for each other. Yeah. And what I learned from working on the lending side for a brief time as a business development, that it is just connecting people with the right person. Yeah. I'm sure you've had an instance where like you're working with a client and you think, it's just not a good fit for me. I think my personality is too direct and I'm too and this person just, every time we have a conversation, it's like we're going over the same things again and again. Yep. And it's maybe just not the best fit. Good news is, I know this other person that I like to work with. And I feel like that's the easiest way to build trust that I found I've built trust. Like I'm not afraid to say, there's this other agent that really focuses on this market. I think they'd have a little bit more knowledge for you, and put my, some bit of referral for connecting the clients. Yeah. But mostly putting them with the person they're going to have the best experience with, because it's not going to be good for me. True. It's not going to be good for my like partner relationships if it's not a good fit.
Well, and what's interesting is like, so I've been doing this a little bit more lately, very recently. thanks to one of my favorite guests, which was Andrew Dubé.
Yeah.
And he came on here, and we had a long discussion about how he is very much, good at creating boundaries with clients that if they don't want to work with him, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I operate a little differently, and I've been working on it where it's like, to me, it's like I want to get the deal, right? And sometimes I find myself not creating boundaries because I'm like, well, this is my job. Like, I want this client to have a good experience, and it feels forced.
Yeah.
And I have been a lot more, kind of straightforward in regards to like creating those boundaries. And it's really interesting when you tell someone like, hey, maybe we're not a good fit. And they're like, no, wait, no, wait.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no, yeah, we are.
like
I promise.
And then it's super awkward because it's like, you've kind of pushed me to the point where like, I'm done. And now you're like, oh, wait. And of course I'm like, well, I would love to help you, but like, is it going to be on the terms that we're on right now? Because if so, like, that's why I'm out.
Yeah. And that conversation is so healthy though. Like, I feel like there are instances where you have that conversation, it was just misunderstanding. Like, oh no, I just thought it wasn't that difficult, or I didn't think I was asking for too much, or whatever was causing like the discomfort in the relationship.
Right.
And that can be really great. I think that can really form like huge trust.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just get better at just saying things like that. Because right now I've just kind of
I'm not sure this is working.
Well, no, I'm there. I'm there. But then maybe I need to start having the conversations of why this isn't working, in hopes that if they are like, well, wait, why?
That's not
it's
me.
like, well, yeah, like, this is why. Like, I feel like you don't trust me, and like, I know for you it's just business. And I know this sounds cliche, but I've been doing this long enough to where like I've made enough money to, pay my bills, and I have repeat clients coming in. So like, for me, yes, this is business, but this is a relationship-based business for me. And if we're going to do this as just business, like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because if this is just going to be some transactional thing, race to the bottom, like, I promise you'll always find somebody. Because I'm thinking of one particular client that we just like kind of cut recently. My initial phone conversation, first words out of his mouth is, I'm talking to 3 or 4 different lenders. I just want to let you know I'm going to end up going with whoever's the least expensive. My immediate response, thank you, Andrew, was, I am not going to be the least expensive lender. And if that's like how you're shopping, I'm just going to save us both a ton of time right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you continue to shop, someone will always do it for less.
100%.
I don't know what that experience is going to be like, but yeah.
And maybe the experience is going to be fine, but I don't want to gamble with that.
Sure.
Do if I was the consumer?
Yeah. Well, and you don't want to gamble
what's
with.
What's that cost you? What's the difference of that cost and potential, pitfalls that could come along with that? Yeah. I had a similar situation with a client that I kind of was going back and forth, and I was thinking maybe I should cut commission on this. So I talked to my broker, and they're like, we really just. If you wanted to, we could talk about this or that, feel it out. And I just kept talking to him. He finally came back to me and said that an agent was willing to do it for 1%. And I just really thought, okay, if I was going to do this for 1%, what would that look like? And I kind of did it. And I was like, I can't do the things I like to do. Even on a lease client, I like to do the drone footage now. I think it's like amazing that we have that.
Okay.
I like to do the floor plans. I like to do the virtual staging. And we're getting the percentage down that the amount of money that I'm saying I can put towards make like presenting and marketing your property. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I would have to go into the
Who does your drone footage?
So I was a guy that used to work at an office. He just started. His name's Greg Ritter. So it's Greg Ritter Photography. And I love it because he is newer to the game. So he's got all the skills that he needs, but he's new to working with agents. So I get to kind of explore what different things we can do. So he's really like collaborative, and me being a creative, I like to be able to be a little bit a part of the process.
I've been meaning, I want to get a drone footage photographer on here.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
well,
and he's a realtor, so
connection.
I would definitely love to connect you all.
Awesome.
He does it all, and that's what I like about him. I'm sure there's other companies that are doing more and doing different things and all that, but I like to be a part of the process in some way, especially when it comes to like presenting the property. I think it's so important to differentiate and be unique. And some of the bigger companies, they just kind of follow like, this is what we do with all of our clients. And again, back to kind of loop it all back around. It's not. I don't feel like I have a relationship with them. I feel like I have to pay them, and they're giving me a service, and this is how their service works. It can be valuable, I suppose. But I personally want to be a part of it.
Do you think that from, just to get a little like what's the word, like heady about it, like,
Mm-hmm.
do you think sometimes people are acting that way because they just don't want to be like, they don't want to end up liking you? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's almost like, I want to keep this
Business.
total business. I want to keep this totally transactional
Yeah.
because like, I don't want to end up actually like making a friend.
And then I couldn't charge my friend my prices.
Right.
I'd have to give you the friend's discount.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. If I thought about it for a second, I think so. My career before real estate was a professional dancer, and I still dance a couple times a week, mostly coaching clients still. And
You said like ballroom, right?
ballroom, Latin, country western, anything with a partner. So
Right on.
I think I really I'm losing my train of thought. Let me go back.
So we talked about people not wanting to, they want to keep it straight business because they don't want really to end up making a friend, because then all of a sudden it changes the dynamic of the business transaction.
Yeah. So this idea of like, if you're friends with them, then maybe you wouldn't want to charge them that way. But what I find from being in the creative side of it is it's not financial. For me, it's that sometimes when you're in these creative industries, you have an ego, which I think is why you're talented. When you're good at what you do and you're passionate about it. But the ego can come in with some like realtor that knows nothing about drone footage or photography is like, what about this angle? You know, and I got to be honest with you, I've worked with two photographers rather, and they both did what I wanted. Like they both went with me, and it really quickly I was like, God, just trust the professional.
Thank you.
You open your eyes. So I'm cool learning the hard way, So it opened my eyes right away because I was like, that picture that I saw in my head of the stove. It was not. And they always look at me like, well, you asked for that one. And I was like, yeah, it's a terrible, terrible shot.
Well, and I think you said something just about 15 minutes ago that's kind of almost an aha moment to me. I think the main reason why our clients sometimes, you said, first of all, you said trust the professional. And here I'm thinking like, yes, buyers, sellers, like trust the professional. But I almost wonder if the reason why there is so much pushback on trusting the professional, like my knee-jerk reaction is, do they not trust them because they had something bad happen? But I almost think it's like they don't trust us because I think sometimes as lenders or as real estate agents, you made mention, like, I thought it was just as easy as going on an app.
Yeah.
And there is something to that, don't get me wrong, but to like really put together a solid, correct proposal, it's a lot more than that. And maybe the reason why they don't trust us is because buyers and sellers deep down feel like they could do your job.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and that's like another correlation. Like, I feel like everybody's a real estate professional. Right? It's like,
agreed.
It's kind of like WebMD,
Worse.
Zillow. I'm an expert.
It's worse.
Like, I could do that heart transplant. Yeah. And I feel that too. I think when you're a driven, successful person and you're entrepreneurial and you're like focused, you have this sense of like, I could do their job. But the humility, and I think the true sign of the true professional is the one that realizes, no, I absolutely could not.
Right.
That's why they're a part of my team.
Well, and sometimes it's like, maybe I could, but I'm not going to do it as well.
Yeah.
Or even furthermore, maybe I could and I could do it as well, but I have other things to do.
I'd rather do this. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
I mean, I see situations where buyers like will request 900 different estimates from 900 different lenders with different products and all of this. And I think, man, I've got like 6 hours into this. And if you're doing this with 3 other people, like this is a second job for you. And we're talking about you saving $20-$30 a month. Like, what's the what do they call it? Like the cost analysis for your time. So always a thought of mine and always interesting because frankly, I think sometimes we make it look easy.
Yeah.
People think all you do is open doors or,
yeah.
Stick a yard sign in the front or whatever. And obviously we all know there's way more that goes into it, but.
Yeah. I like that you said that though, because that was something that came up the other day for me. I love how sometimes real estate agents are like, our job is really hard. And I don't know. Personally, I feel like there's hard aspects to every career in every industry.
Yeah.
But the making it look easy is just is letting it go and continuing to learn and grow. I just don't, I'm not going to be one of those agents that's like, if it wasn't for real estate agents, we would not have a career. This deal wouldn't happen.
Right.
I always tell people when they're like interviewing me to, potentially list their house I'm like, look, you're not going to just work with me. So you can interview me, but realize that if you wanted just me, you wouldn't ever get a house.
Yeah.
True.
Like,
you're choosing me because I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'm connected from working with the lender in business development, I'm connected with a ton of realtors. I'm following people all over social media. I continue to connect like this with different lenders. And that's why you want to work with me. You want to work with the person that's not afraid to ask for help, not afraid to not have the answer, but definitely knows who to talk to if we don't. And I'm definitely that person. I'm a people person first, and I'm a connector. So I'm like, who am I going to talk to? Who am I going to connect with? This agent just posted a video about this. I want to call them and see if they can give me some insight on that. And I will tell you, sometimes agents reach out, or I reach out to an agent, and they are like so standoffish to that idea of like collaborating and sharing advice outside of their brokerage.
Right.
But right away in my head, I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to work with that agent. I would want to work with somebody like me, somebody who's not afraid to, like we were talking before, say, I'm just not really connecting with the lender.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you have a conversation with them? And if it's still not working, I have a couple others.
Well, and that's kind of like the same spinoff is what I run into a lot of times where I talk to lenders real estate agents, and I'm kind of astonished at the amount of agents where we'll have conversations like, who do you like to use as a lender? Who do you like to use as a title company? And you'd be surprised how many are like, oh, we just kind of go with the flow. Like my broker says that I should use this for the title company, and like most of my clients just come pre-approved. So like, it all just kind of like falls into place for me. And I'm like, until it doesn't. And hearing you say like, I really like having, other, whatever you want to call it, facets of the close and working with them and making sure, kind of being the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. Because in my like sports analogy, I feel like that's what the real estate agent really is. Like you're doing the play calling, like we all have our job on the field, but like we're all looking to you as like the one, to make the call.
Yeah.
So that we can get what we all want.
And I almost feel like the realtor's not the quarterback. I feel like the realtor's the water boy.
Okay, fair enough.
Kind of like, is everybody hydrated?
I like
Wait,
that.
I haven't touched this. Do you need anything?
Sometimes that's what the quarterback does.
The water boy, is the one that.
So you're the quarterback just handing off the ball.
Exactly.
That's cool.
I feel like the quarterback is, to be honest with you, let me think about this for a second. I feel like the quarterback is lending, unless it's a cash deal and it's a title company.
Yeah.
I really trust a lot in the people that have been in the industry 20 plus years.
Well, I love that.
Seriously, because I mean, if money's not transferred, no deal's happening. And if there's not somebody in the state of Texas that's doing the close and making sure the papers are signed, and I can't tell you how many times I text or call or email a lender or a title company to get info. Yeah, I'm just the one calling the plays, so I guess I'm the quarterback, but I don't think I'm throwing the ball.
Okay, so you're the coach.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, the coach.
There we go. I'm the coach.
And we're all going for a touchdown. Got it.
Yeah, I love that you said that too, because that's another thing I always talk about. If you have a deal where the lender, the title company, the transaction coordinators, the real estate agents, that's a big one, are all going for a touchdown, it's so easy. If you have two teams playing, it can be really difficult.
Well, and I'll do you one better because we talk about this all the time. And
I love that we're talking about sports because I'm like, you got the wrong guy.
Well, but hear me out. So like, I'll do you one better because this is something we talk about on this podcast is like, I've literally said this. I'm going to repeat it, but it was months ago. So you just talked about the situation where we've got all of the vendors that are all working for the same thing, right? You know, it's even better than that. When all of the vendors are all doing what they're supposed to be doing, working for the same goal, and they've done it once before. Right? So like, what you're getting into dealing with the lender. You've worked with this title company before. You've worked with this home inspector before. The roofing company that's going to come out and do the repair. Like, it's not like, oh, I hear they do good work. It's like, no, I know they do because we have had a transaction before where things went smooth. That right there is as good as it gets. And let's face it. I mean, when we have a smooth transaction, who's the happiest, right? The clients. That's what 100%. We're really doing it for. So I like that. I feel like I'm having a repeat of a conversation we had like months ago. So this will play well.
Yeah, that's a good sign though, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and so one of the things that we always touch on, and I wanted to get back to with you, is like a lot of the things that you've been saying are talking about things that you're doing differently that are helping you either get new business or are, showing how you are providing value differently than some of the other agents. And that's one thing, like, I personally don't operate in like a mindset of scarcity when it comes to like the business. You said like collaborating with other agents. Sometimes they're 100%. Like, we don't want to tell anybody if they're not in our brokerage.
Yep.
So I love the lease thing, and we covered a little bit of that. Is there, and then you mentioned the drone footage and things that you feel like are really important. Are there any other pieces of, just kind of what we call like those nuggets of information in real estate that are really working for you, that like you think other agents might not be doing, or even a new agent might say, oh my gosh, that's great, I'm going to try that?
Yeah. I think that, and I don't know if this is touching on exactly what you're looking for, but I think what I really try to do is I just try to do. Like Nike slogan, right?
Yeah.
Just do it. I really, if I have an idea that I want to network with people, it's going to happen today.
Okay.
I'm not like, I really want to, I feel like agents or maybe even people in this industry, a lot of times they're talking, I would really like to get a website up and running. I'd really like to get, I'd really love to connect with some more lenders. I got to get my database together. I haven't really sat down to put that together. I'm just so busy. I'm so busy.
I really want to be on a podcast.
Yeah, seriously. And so one is, I definitely manifest where like things I want to be at, but I just do. Like, and I have this idea and I have a crazy idea. I'm almost obsessively focused on it, and I just go for it. And I'm less focused on, is that going to get me clients? Is that going to make me money? How much money?
Yeah.
I'm like everybody else. I'm punching the numbers to think of like, if I did this, this would be this, to keep focused. But more so, I'm just doing. And
And so that's the first part. But like, so what have you just done recently that you were like, okay, that worked?
The biggest one for me has been social media. And I think we've talked about it for a while, but I'm 32 years old, and I still think that our generation isn't as social media as the younger generation coming. But because I worked in the leasing office, and many of the young people were on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm over here like, I still have a Facebook and a MySpace.
Right.
And so I instantly got on Instagram. I instantly got on TikTok. And believe it or not, the office that I was working at was like, what? They had to add a new lead source because TikTok was like blowing up. And even if you Google me now, TikTok is the first thing that pops up in Google.
Oh, wow.
So, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I'm going to do stupid videos. At first, it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was so awkward. I mean, even if you go now, be kind.
Don't worry, we've all been there.
Yeah, it's goofy, but I realized it tapped into my creative side. Again, I've been a professional dancer and instructor for 15 years. And so to be able to bring creativity to my work, not only did I find that it's bringing leads and bringing people that are interested in moving to Austin or be in Austin, but it was also like giving me something to want to wake up and be excited about. Sometimes when you don't have any clients you're working, or you're like, oh crap, like what am I doing? There's 20,000 agents here and I'm one of the like ones doing nothing. And quickly I realized that like it filled my day, it made me excited, it made me happy, and the leads started to come. And so that was really exciting. And then when my peers, my coworkers and things started to recognize like, wow, what are you doing? That's so brave. That's so exciting. How can I get involved with that? And I was like, oh, that like gave me the fuel to be like, okay, what's next? So there's definitely more to come, and I'm excited about. I'm going to continue to coin myself as the dancing realtor.
There you go.
And kind of go down that route because I think there's a lot of parallels with my experience in dance and education, and the education that comes with real estate.
Yeah.
So I'm really exploring that, but every single day I'm just like a new thought. And instead of just having it be a thought and a dream and maybe I'll get to that, I'm putting it into action. So that's what
this was. I mean, that's what this whole podcast thing was.
Yeah.
And
I think we talked about that.
Yeah. And the thing I liked about it the most, that I didn't even, recognize what it was going to do for other agents, because I know it sounds cliche, but this podcast isn't really about me. It's more about empowering my referral partners.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like,
yeah.
My business comes from real estate agents. It comes from CPAs and all of that. So I can only get in front of as many people as I can get in front of. But if we can showcase other agents and other businesses, then that's just an opportunity to get more clients for all of us.
Exactly.
And it was interesting because when I started doing this, the first thing I identified was a lot of agents. I thought all real estate agents like wanted to be in front of the camera and all of that. And so I started to identify that there were a lot of agents that were really insecure about it. We did a segment on it with, Ina Kyle with Compass now. And, that video just did so well because so many people resonated with it. And so getting people in here and having a conversation like this was like, it was fantastic because it created these organic conversations that we were able to put into clips and everything along those lines. And to your point, like, I want to say you're probably like 58 almost 60.
Wow. Congrats.
60th episode that we've done.
That's awesome.
And I do quite a few of these, and it is something that has become a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because it is something you can get better at, doing the interview stuff. And then I really do get to like meet a lot of people, and it's cool. It's really cool. So I like all of the things that you made mention of, because you become the expert now. People are like, I want to be on your podcast. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Yeah.
I had a gentleman contact me yesterday who was referred by Ryan Rodenbeck, who basically just wants to sit down and figure out how to do all of this.
Yeah.
You know, because we built all this ourselves, and it could be better, but you know, it's
hey, you got a Cookie Monster rug, you got it going on.
Yeah, soundproof. That's a soundproof rug. But doesn't it look like
it does look
everybody
like the
says
Cookie
it? Doesn't it
Monster.
look like we hunted down Cookie Monster, skinned him, and put him on the floor?
It was when I came in, I was like, that's sad. He must have been the first guest.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't play out well. So, but yeah, any other haha things that you're experiencing? I mean, the social media stuff. I'm happy to hear you say that, because I'm trying to get as many. So please, you know, take the advice. And then, is there any other kind of things that you've been doing lately that you just did it and it worked?
Yeah. So social media is definitely a huge one for me. And then I think networking in general. You know, they always talk about this in a simple way, but believe it or not, recently a friend of mine had lost their job. And they were like applying, and they're all over Indeed, and they're applying. And then one of their mentors had said, stop applying to jobs, start networking.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, in their conversation, I was like, that's smart for me to do as well. So I really just made it a pursuit to just continue to talk to people. So now everybody I talk to, it's borderline annoying. I think my friends and family are getting like anywhere. If I'm at the dentist, if I'm at the hairstylist, everybody's living somewhere.
Yeah.
And everybody's relocating in some way, whether it's a street over or just within your apartment complex, or need to sell their house or whatever. And I just want people to know that I'm doing it, and I want to connect with them. And if I can connect you with somebody, great. If I can hear about your story, I even have connections of people that I've met that are selling their house currently with another agent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, awesome, when's the open house? And I'll go and attend, because I just want to continue to learn, and I want to hear about their experience with that agent. Because I always learned with dancing that you don't practice to get ready for the opportunity to come. You're already ready, and then the opportunity comes. So that, if you're waiting to book a gig where you're going to perform somewhere and you're going to be performing, you're not going to practice as soon as they call you up. Like, I'm already ready to perform.
Yeah.
So that's I'm just continuing to learn, understand the market, and then I'm ready when the opportunity comes. I'm going to be ready for that client.
I believe there is a saying by Ulysses S. Grant that says, soldiers never rise to the occasion. They only fall back on their training.
It's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So me and Ulysses, we went way back. Yeah.
That is a very old saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're falling back on your training. So
that's-
when you're ready to perform, I mean, you're there.
That's my next skill. And it sounds like when you're asking me, like, I'm gonna like reinvent the wheel over here, and like all the agents are gonna be like with their pads, like, oh, I gotta start doing that. There's nothing unique,
Yeah, but let's be real. Like, this is something I think about a lot, because my company spends a lot of money to have like mindset coaches and stuff like that. We do like a thing once a month.
Yeah.
And a mindset coach comes out and does like a 15-minute speech and tells you a whole bunch of stuff that you already know.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you're not telling me anything I don't know.
Yeah.
And so that sometimes can fall on deaf ears. Sometimes people are like, you know what, I needed that like pep talk. But I think when you're speaking to other agents, it's not that you're not telling them something they don't know. You're telling them something that they knew, maybe questioned whether or not it was worth doing. You did it, and it worked.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I love that.
And so people can look at that. It's like, I mean, it's not a life hack or anything, but how many people did you basically say that that don't execute?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't execute because they don't want to put in the time and the effort and not see the results.
Yep.
And to hear someone who did put in the time and the effort and saw the results, that's encouraging.
Yeah. Or fear.
Fear is a big one.
I mean, this podcast is a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, I
like
see
you
it
said.
all the time.
Yeah, it is scary, but at the end of the day, it's not that scary. So for anybody who wants to jump on,
yeah,
it's not.
Look,
that
there's
scary.
no one else here. We're in a room. We're having a conversation, and you know, all of this can be edited if it is, and it's not live. There's nothing crazy going on. And, I think that, again, the content, it's organic. And I think that's what, going back to the trust thing with our clients and everything along those lines, I find it interesting that you made mention that if you Google your name, your TikTok is the first thing that comes up.
I know.
And I think one thing that we forget as salespeople is there are a lot of times that we are referred by maybe past clients or friends or family. And those clients, we think that phone call, like ring, 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 hey, Tristan told me to contact you. We think that that is their first interaction with us, and it might be. But I'm here to tell you, it's happened to me quite a few times, and it's very flattering where I start to kind of go into like who I am, what I do, and they're like, Matt, we watched all your videos and everything like that. Like, we want to work with you. Like, you want to talk about a time saver, like badass. So like, that's why I always encourage people. It's like people troll. I do it. I do it all the time. Like I do it to real estate agents. One of our big value adds with Gold Star is like when you write an offer, I tell the buyer's agent, CC me on the offer. I'm going to reach out to the listing agent. I'm going to express the strength of the approval. I'm going to let them know how far along we are, how quickly we can close. And before I contact that agent, I'm going to stalk the hell out of you on your Facebook, your TikTok, your Instagram, and everything. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to know you. And if I don't, I'm going to know someone who does, and I'm going to name drop that person. And like, you know what I'm saying? So like, if I'm doing that, our buyers and sellers are doing that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a good thing because, again, going back to like your tribe or your people, like if someone can search you and be like, wow, I really like this person, it saves a ton of time and it helps connect you with somebody that is a great fit. And then going back to, maybe the opposite, it could also save a ton of time because someone might look you up and be like, boy, I hate this guy. Like I hate this bald, white.
He is just not... He doesn't
telling me what to do with his, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hate bald white guys. Like, it's like, okay, well, and then I don't get the call. But you know what? Was it going to be a good experience anyway? Probably not.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I love the social media stuff, and I'm happy to hear that the fear is melting away for you because I know you said you were a little concerned, but
yeah,
you're
definitely
doing great, man.
Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I think that's the important part.
Yeah,
like whether it be social media or showing people homes, like if I'm not enjoying it, I think if we're not enjoying it, let's be more clear. Yeah, that is super important to me. I think it should be fun.
Well, and I feel like we harped on that where it's like, I know it sounds cliche, but having our clients have a good experience really is, one of the lines I always say is the only thing better than making money is making money with your friends, and the only thing better than hearing clear to close or closing a good transaction is doing it with your friends, there's a ton of time where my clients become friends. We have people over all the time, and we look around the room. It's like half the people here we sold a house to.
Yeah,
and they're great friends now, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
I wish people would remember more of that. That's one of the like cushy things I always say. And then the other thing is, I think that sometimes in this business we get away from what buying a home really is all about. We look at purchase prices, we look at interest rates, we look at how much it's going to cost. And I think sometimes we forget, like, people are buying these homes, they're going to have kids in them, they're going to get married, they're going to have a dog, their Thanksgiving's going to be there, and like house is a home type of thing.
Yeah.
Not to be corny, but.
No, it is, though. It's totally true. That's why I think I like getting into the apartments as well, because a lot of times people see apartments as temporary.
Right.
But I think more and more we're seeing that apartments could be a forever place for somebody.
I mean, maybe not forever, but a lot longer than you think.
Yeah,
I know I've stayed in
right?
some apartments longer than I
Yeah,
thought.
and so I want that when I work with those clients, just as I'm working with a buyer that's looking to buy their first home, I want them to feel like they're home, and make sure it's as good of a fit as it can be, even though the commitment is a lot shorter. It could be longer.
Yeah, no, exactly. I want to talk just a little bit briefly about the dance stuff, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm interested. So you said most of it is, you do ballroom dancing. You said you're doing like Western, and what else was there?
So anything with a partner, really.
Okay.
So anything from Latin dancing to your formal waltz, Viennese waltz, really anything with a partner.
And this has been like forever in your life,
yeah,
or when did you really get involved in it?
Just getting out of high school when I started with the world's largest, most predominant dance franchise. And I've been working with them ever since. Arthur Murray.
Arthur Murray.
Yeah,
I know them.
Everybody has heard of it in some way. It's like, oh, my grandfather. Yeah, it's a very old
When
franchise.
Are we going to do a Dancing with the Realtors?
That's what we're doing. We're doing it. It's so funny. I've been talking about Dancing with the Realtors for so long.
Oh, we do them up in Cleveland. That's like
yeah.
an annual event. And one of my good buddies that I grew up with, he is one of the, what are you guys, coaches?
Yeah, coaches, dance professional.
Yeah,
whatever.
he's one of the coaches. And it's an event, man. That thing draws a lot of people.
100%. Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea, especially in this market, because I think you have a lot of great agents.
Yeah.
And again, we're all looking to differentiate. It's a huge competitive market out there, so to have something unique and fun, I think is super important. And dance, for me, what I've always loved about it and teaching is that you take somebody who's kind of fearful about something and you take them to the end. And I have clients that from the first day I met them, 5 years later, are a totally different person because they dance, whether it's their relationship got better or whether they just gained more confidence in themselves, and it carries off the dance floor with them. And so I saw the parallels with that in real estate. My mom has actually been in real estate for 30 plus years.
Okay.
And she's going to hate that I said 30 years.
Just a really long time.
Yeah.
She's very experienced.
So she's kind of been a mentor of mine now. She kind of assists more than anything. She helps me out. And so I was kind of in both worlds forever. I was the kid at the open houses. My parents were hustling. They were both in real estate and both, taking me to the open houses with them. And then dancing was always a passion of mine. I was always dancing since I was little. So they just ran very parallel because it's just people.
Yeah.
And as I was thinking about coming out of the podcast, I was thinking like it's also both two situations that people can be pretty fearful about, whether it's their finances or whether they're like, I don't know if I'm going to look awkward. I don't know if I'm not going to understand what the lender's talking about. So everybody's kind of fearful.
Yeah.
So I really kind of mastered over the years, thanks to a lot of my mentors and trainers in the dance world, the idea of understanding people, understanding where they're coming at, how to meet them where they're at, listening is huge. Yeah. And so I think it just really set me up to where I am, and I didn't even know I was going to be here.
Well, I've been to quite a few Dancing with the Realtors up in Cleveland, and I've seen the ins and the outs more times than I would like to admit. And if you want to do a Dancing with the Realtors down here,
we're manifesting it now.
We are. I will definitely help you do it. Not only because, like I said, I've seen it and I feel like I've been like a part of it per se, but I've seen what it does for these agents, and it is a ton of fun. And you can raise money for charity and everything along those lines. And yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Let's do it. We're going to talk, and you guys are going to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I figure we should probably do it in the spring.
Yeah.
Or is that too busy for real estate agents? When's the slow time?
Like right now is the slow time.
I know, right? We should have thought
about
this
We're going to do Dancing with the Realtors when interest rates spike.
Yeah, I think we need. I mean, because we need.
We're not going to do it yearly. We'll just do it whenever the interest rates go over 5%.
Well, because we need at least 6. We need at least 6 months, right? I mean, these agents have a little bit of training.
They definitely need. Yeah, you definitely want to have training, but there's ways to make it happen quicker, because you can make it a social fun event, which I think would be a lot of fun. Right. There's two aspects of dancing. There's the social dancing, and then there's the competitive dancing. And I like the idea of making it something more social, especially in a city like Austin. There's so many places to go dancing.
That's true.
And a lot of people here, even men, because a lot of times it's women that want to go out and dancing, but the men here, they want a country western dance.
Yep, that's true.
They did it growing up and they want to do it more. So I think it'd be cool to get a mix of agents, whether it be female and male, that want to dance and kind of make it a social thing where they perform, but they're not necessarily competing. And we could kind of do something fun like that. So I always look at these shows like Dancing with the Stars and we keep modeling right after it. But I like to kind of make my own twist.
Yeah, no, I dig it.
That'd be really cool to make like a social dance event where we highlight some agents.
We got to do it.
We'll make it happen. I'm telling you, talking about it is the start. Remember, I told you I do
it. No, I'm with you. I do this. I also do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know where that? Did you watch the Amazon special about Nike and how they signed?
No.
So I know you said you weren't a big sports guy, but I couldn't believe when they said this on the film, because I thought there's no way that this is real. And then I looked it up and it was. The guy from Nike that coined the term "just do it." Do you know where he got it from?
No.
He was reading the newspaper and there was somebody that was being executed in the electric chair, and the murderer's final words were "just do it." And he thought that was so badass that someone was like, "Do you have any last words?" And he was
so
like,
bizarre.
"Just do it." And I'm like, that can't be real. And it is.
And it is real.
Yeah.
Ow.
I know, right?
Yeah, even in the final hours.
So now every time I see people in the gym with like their "Just Do It" shirt, all I can do is
oh no.
I'm like, is that badass? Like, I said, just do it. Like, I don't know.
That's
So-
interesting. It just happened to come on at that time. Wow. I don't know if I love that story or hate it.
I know, right? I have mixed emotions also. Anything
funny.
else we need to know?
No, the only thing I can tell you is that this is the first time I've done a podcast like this, and I'm so happy that you made it so
Yeah,
easy.
my pleasure.
And I'm excited that you're going to see some more from
Yeah.
me. I'm not, I'm just kind of hitting the game here in Austin, and you're definitely going to see more of me.
Well, you've got to be on here more, not only because you've been a great guest, right?
Thank you.
But I'm glad you're willing to admit that like getting additional social media content's going to help out. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we have people who are coming on here doing their own offshoots. We've got 2 Mats, 1 Market.
I saw that one. Yeah, that's fun.
We've got Market on the Rocks. So like
that. By the way, you guys got to coin some of these names because Market on the Rocks is an ingenious name.
that's Chase's.
Yeah, it's very smart.
Yeah,
it's very smart because like right away I'm be like, what's going on there?
Well, make sure you subscribe to my
Yes.
YouTube so that you can get the updates when these are posted. Because
Very cool.
I just finished the edit of Market on the Rocks for the November edition. Where spoiler alert, but we do fall-esque, and Chase always brings in a ton of like right now we have just like a clear table, but there's a ton of fall decorations, and I don't want to give too much away. And then we're gonna follow it up next month with our winter/Christmas theme. So.
Nice.
It's a trip, man.
It's gonna be cool. I have to keep watching.
Now that is one where you're like, am I gonna get to see this beforehand? Like I'm thinking like, I don't know what you think you're gonna say, but sure. That is one where I'm like, I need to watch this whole episode every time we do it because it is the only episode not that I wouldn't do it, but it's the only episode that we drink on. And so it's they always end up being like 2 hours long, and it's like we catch a little buzz, and I'm like, I need to make sure that we review this to make sure we can put this out.
That is funny.
So Market on the Rocks.
Wait, take that one off. Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna
make sure
follow
you
that
watch
one.
that
And
one.
we'll have to come up with something for dancing, for sure.
Yeah. Well, everyone who's on for the very first time, I do the same thing. Just gonna ask that you look in the camera. Just tell us who you are. What brokerage you're with. Anything else we need to know, and we'll cut it.
All right, perfect. So I'm Tristan Reimann with Perch Realty, and I'm your go-to guy if you're looking for your apartment. If you're looking to lease a home, if you're looking to buy, sell, I'm here. And if you want somebody who's fun and creative to work with me. Your
There it
dancing
is.
realtor.
Love it, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Take care.